The following program has been rated GE by the Kenya Film Classification Board. It is therefore suitable for general family viewing.
Thank you very much, and you are right on time for GBS, and thank you for tuning on GBS. This is Talking Show, the most interactive show that we have, and today we begin our show by celebrating the life of the late His Excellency Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, and during his tenure he used to say vijana ndio viongozi wa kesho, and I believe kesho imefika, okay? It is today. So we are the leaders of today, and that is why today on Talking Show, we have a youthful audience and we also have a youthful panel to actually discuss on a topic that we were handling on the aspect whereby misunderstandings between the parents and the young adults, and especially the youth. And we ended the show on a high note by challenging ourselves, and the challenge was that we ought to start a conversation with either our parents, our friends, or our enemies. And you remember, we ought to have talked, maybe through phone or SMS or even face-to-face, and then tell your parents or your guardians, I love you, I need you, and thank you. So I want to begin by our panelists to ask them whether they actually did this, and maybe to start with, they can introduce themselves.
Hi guys, I'm Anita. Well, actually for me, I did it. Mm-hmm. From my dad, I received a thank you. My mom, she didn't say anything.
Okay. How's the feeling about after your dad actually gave a response?
When he gave a response, I was like, oh yeah, he can actually say thank you. It's good.
Is it a rare circumstance, or is it that something of which happens as often as?
Not often for me,
okay,
because we don't talk with my dad.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Betty. As for me, I am used to saying I love you when I end a call, so I didn't know how to say it differently this time. So I did, and I was told I love you back. But for my dad, I need some little working, but I'm sure with time, I'll be able to do that. Thank you.
Okay, working on progress, eh?
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Hello people, I'm Annette, and personally I did it. I called my mom and told her I love her so much. And the funny part is that she's not used to getting that from me, so she first laughed. And she was like, what? Are you the one saying this? What's happening to you? So I'm like, Mom, I just wanted to say I love you and thank you for everything. And she just laughed, and then finally she said thank you. And for my dad, I'm used to that. So like, it was normal. I just say it. It's just automatic for me. So it's not something new. He was used to it. So when I just said it, he just found it normal and said thank you.
Okay. Let's clap for them. And a very clear indication is that rarely we have a conversation with our parents or our guardians. And if we do have that conversation, it's that conversation whereby I just say, I don't have maybe pocket money, and the conversation ends there. But in the aspect whereby we share our hearts, aspect whereby we speak of the things of which are actually disturbing us and issues within our life, rarely do we do that. And that is why most of the time there's a lot of misunderstanding between the parents and the young adults, for this case, whereby their hearts are different just because they're not having a conversation. The father and the mother are looking at the child and they think, how will my child be like? Because of this, they worry a lot. And on the other end, as the father worries, then the child is also thinking, my dad and my mom is becoming too persistent. It's like they're nagging me. And because of this, the gap becomes bigger and bigger between them. Maybe from the audience, was there anyone who actually tried the aspect to SMS or talk to their parents? Yes, I can see there's one response at the far end. Yes, let's hear what how it ended up. Yes.
Jacqueline. Last week I called my mom. I told her I love her. I usually do that, but this time round I felt that there was a positive response because I guess she was depressed and down. But when I told her that I love her, I felt that she was rejuvenated. Mm-hmm. And without asking something from her, the next day, she just sent someone, just a message from her to me, and I felt good. So I guess the thing that our parents need most amidst their struggles in life, we just support them and tell them that we love them. That will be enough for them.
Okay. I get the message was an M-Pesa, the message
Yes.
that you received. It was an M-Pesa?
Yeah.
Wow, thank you. I know now the secret of getting an M-Pesa from my parent. Yes, was once more. What was the response and how was it?
My name is Jaylene. I called my dad and I told him that I love him so much, and he was very happy.
Is this something that you do often?
No, even I've never told him like that.
Wow. Let's clap for her. Yes. Was it easy or was it hard?
For the first, it was very hard, but he was very happy.
Yeah. So here comes an aspect whereby it seems as if it is difficult and hard to speak to our parents. And Anita, you actually started by telling us, rarely do you speak to your dad. If I remember very well. Why the misunderstanding? Why there's no kind of a conversation?
It's not some kind of misunderstanding. It's just that I'm busy with schoolwork, he's busy at job. I only talk to my mom because most of the time I'm usually with my mom. My dad is busy. We talk on rare occasions. I'm like, Dad, I need this and that. I'm like, okay, you need it, get it. It's okay. Then when I'm in school, I just call him and tell him this and that. But on the side of performance, studies and everything, he's usually concerned on that. He will like quarrel, he will like punish me if I drop my grades. He will like talk to me if I'm in the wrong side and my mom is not able to correct me. He will like talk to me and I'm like, okay, continue talking. I'm done.
Okay.
But I'm sure I'll get to change.
I know Betty mentioned it is work on progress in terms of speaking out about the issues between you and your dad. But has there been ever a misunderstanding because of something of which is in your life and maybe you desire something in your life and there's no flow?
Yes, there has been a misunderstanding. Like, I totally remember that time. Like, there are times you just have so many things, but you want this one specific thing because it's in the trend, it's in the fashion. So I like wanted this jacket, this certain luminous green jacket. Like, it was the one that was in the flow, everyone has it, except me. So I was like, just buy me this, just this one jacket. And she was like, you have so many things, you have so many clothes, but I just want this specific jacket. So my heart was so, like, I was so sad. It's not that I don't have it, it's not that I don't have sweaters to wear, but I want that specific one. So when I didn't get it, I kind of refused to eat a couple of days, and then it was terrible, just very terrible. Yes.
How did you go about it? Did you ever solve it?
Well, we talk, and then, desires, they change. So eventually I decided, like, that jacket was off the trend, and I was like, well, it's okay, I didn't have it, but I'll have the next one. Yeah.
Okay. One thing of which I pick is that every man has a desire, and I don't know, maybe for the audience out there, you can also tell us, do your desires grow, or do they grow bigger, or do they grow smaller? This is something of which I've asked the audience out there. 21144 is the SMS line. Facebook, GBS Kenya, also on YouTube. You can subscribe on GBS Kenya. But for Annette, please tell us, do your desires grow bigger or do they grow smaller?
Honestly, they grow bigger. Each and every single day I wake up, they are growing bigger and bigger as I grow, as I become mature. Because there's one time when I was a small girl, I wanted that dress, ile harusi, you understand that one? And there's the Kong Kong, the shoes that we call Kong Kong. So, like, right now you buy me such a dress and I'll be like, huh? Who do you want to wear? Do you want me to wear that thing? Oh my God, I won't do it. You see, I want something more. I want something that is in the trend. I want something that will make me look good and make me feel beautiful. So, like, telling you, it's normal for the desires to grow, because I think it's normal. That's, as we grow, they grow, and yeah, as we mature, they are different.
What about the ability aspect? Are you able to meet all your desires? Now, this is where now the big question is, yes, the desires grow, but how do we go about these desires that are ever growing?
Yeah, the abilities are limited. We don't have the ability to just fulfill all our desires. And that's where we come to a fight with our parents because we don't understand what they go through. I want that shoe, it's 7,000, and my parent gets 5,000 for salary. So I don't understand the point of why don't you get me the shoe? I don't understand why you don't get me the shoe, and I forget that I have siblings who need school fees and need other things. So that's, and also the desires, we as the youth, we have a very low understanding. So once we come to such things, that's where fights come through, and we don't have the flow of the heart with our parents because we won't understand them and we won't get their point very easily because we just want it and we want it right now.
And there's a training that you're undergoing, the mind education training, and one of the stories that I came across within the book of Navigating the Heart, there's a topic on desires, and there's a story of the lepers, the 3 lepers, who are actually thankful about everything. I don't know whether you've interacted with it, and what do you pick from it?
Well, it's actually a good story. You actually get to learn from it because from the 3 lepers, when they were actually going for an event of Pastor Osopak, well, from their expectations, they never expected to see him in person, and they even actually asked them among themselves, "Have you ever seen Osopak?" I'm like, "No, I've never seen him." So like the person was Osopak was actually in the same bus, and he actually told them, "I'm Osopak," and they almost fainted. They're in shock. Well, actually, the 3 lepers, they were taken into a restaurant, and they were like privileged. I've never gotten an honor to get into a restaurant because people take them as low, and for them, their hearts are humbled. When they entered into the restaurant, they appreciated it. Whatever they ate, they have never ate it. You're like, as for us, we usually say, I usually have this each and every time. But actually, when you get something you have never had it, you have never eaten it, you have never had it, you actually tend to appreciate it, and you're like, it's the first time, wow, let me take it as an honor to have it. So we actually learn to humble ourselves, and you get to learn more from the story if you read it, and if you tend to read it always and read it to your friends. Just teach them on how to be humble. And as far as youths, let's try being humble to our parents. When you get something, appreciate it. Don't take it as usual.
Okay,
Yeah.
Betty, the story about 3 lepers. Here are 3 lepers who are despised and taken as an outcast within the society. But one day they get an opportunity to enter into a restaurant and eat noodles. You know, for us it may be normal, but for them it was the very first time they're actually doing this. And actually the author says that they were thankful about everything just because of the aspect that they had a very humble heart. What instances have you maybe experienced this from a personal experience whereby you are able to appreciate anything that comes your way, and sometimes you're not able to appreciate anything that comes your way?
Okay, I'll rather use this example. Like, I had been going for regional camps for a very long time, like dancing camps, so I was very excited. But I was like, it's normal, I can dance, I can do this, and I have to do it, like they need me, you know that feeling. So they came this time, I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and then I couldn't go anymore. That time I remember I woke up early in the morning, everything I was just taking for granted. And then I went to the bus, and they told me, you have to go, you have to get out, you have to leave, you're not going. So my heart was so broken. So at that time when I went back, then my heart was now like, that was precious. The going part, it was precious. I just didn't know it was precious until I lost it. So then the person who was in charge called me and told me, now you have to come. You know, I had gone to the same camps, even better camps, but that was my favorite camp because that is the camp that I realized this is not normal. This is graceful. This is not something that I deserve. This is something to appreciate. But I always lived with the mind that I deserve this. I have practiced, I can dance, and it took my time until I realized I don't. So it was very precious. It was not like it was the perfect place. It was just near. It was so near. We didn't travel a lot, but that was the very best camp that I've ever been to. Yes.
And from what I pick from Betty, what is the difference between people who always complain about something and people who can be able to appreciate even the little things in their life?
The difference is, I believe it's in the heart. It's something that you're used to. And from the training that I get from the mindset education, I understand that practice makes perfect. And once you start practicing to complain, no matter what happens, you're still going to complain. Hii chakula ni tamu lakini chumvi. You see? Hii kiatu ni poa lakini ile, you see? You have that complaint in everything, no matter how good it is. And also the person who is always thankful, it's a practice that the person has always had. Once you get something, you're like, thank you. You appreciate it and you're like, thank you so much for this. The little thing that you have, rather than complaining, you just seeing the better part of it rather than seeing the negative part of it. So that's what I believe. It's a practice that you have. So it's always you have to, it's getting out of you, you're used to it.
From the audience part, at a very crucial moment in the society whereby we are seeing suicide cases, we are seeing many people actually having divorce, and the effects of divorce actually states that we have maybe children on the streets, or all these kind of things. And one important factor of which I also pick from the panelists is that the desires of man will always grow, but the ability of man is limited. And therefore, because we want to make or we want to meet our desires, and because we don't have that ability, then we become unhappy and we tend to actually fall into frustration and despair. There is this aspect whereby people say, I am unhappy because I am poor, or I am unhappy because I don't have this. I don't know what you have to say, but in mind education, the biggest aspect is that these people are not unhappy because they don't have. They are unhappy because they don't have the ability to meet the ever-growing desire in their life. And maybe from Anita, I don't know, have you ever experienced such kind of a thing whereby actually you're not happy about anything? Not because that you don't have something, but the aspect whereby you really have something inside of you, but you can't be able to meet it.
Yeah, actually there was a time that I needed something, but actually according to the situation that, you know, there are times you usually see, oh, mom does not have money, dad is also broke. You're like, if I ask for something, obviously I won't get it. But inside my heart, I really need it. I want it. But you're wondering on how am I going to get it? But actually at one time you get to open up, tell mom I need this and that. And she's like, I don't have, and like, you just get mad. You know, you get mad at yourself inside, but you can show it to your parents, because obviously, even if you get mad, what are you going to gain? Nothing. There is no money, there's no money. Just get it into your senses. There's no money, just be patient. But actually, for me, patience does not work. It actually that never comes to me. I'm like, I want it now, I want it. I want it tomorrow, I want it tomorrow. But at times, you just need to learn to just keep it for yourself and wait for the right time. Yeah.
Now that we're talking about this, how do we go about it? What do you think is a solution towards the misunderstanding, and especially that, or the conflicts that we have, just because that we have desires that we need to meet, yet we don't have that ability?
Here's what I think. Desires are not bad. Desires are good. But everyone has desire, but how do you deal with the desire? You want a car. I can get a car right now. So how are you going to deal with that? First, you need to know there's something more to life than to get what you want. If we get to know that as youths, like baby, your talent is much more good than the shoes you want to wear. You know, you want something more you can live for, something more you can say, and you cannot live according to your desire all the time. Today, I want a car. Tomorrow, I want something more. I want a rocket. So you have to learn that not all the desires have to be fulfilled. So the minute we live by that, actually the youths at this time, we need to learn there's something more to life. You have that precious talent, that pretty face, that good food. You don't need that pretty shoe. You just need that good food. So you have to learn what is important, what is priority. You have to teach them. Unless we learn. You know, like something like self-control is not something we are born with. We are learning. So unless we learn that, if you always give me everything, then I'll always want more. I'll always want more. So if you give me that limit, then I think we can learn a lot.
Okay.
Thank you.
Who was Anita 3-4 months ago and the Anita now that we see?
3-4 months ago, I was a very violent young lady, a very impatient girl, very impatient, who could not understand anything. Mostly, in the major part was when I'm told that I can't get this at this time. You see, there's one instance that I needed a phone so badly, and that thing made my almost fall into a fight and break the bonds with my parents, because I could not understand, why don't you get me a phone? All of you have smartphones, and you, Dad, you have a smartphone, Mom has a smartphone, my brother has a smartphone and is younger than me. So I'm like, why don't you just get me this phone? We had a fight for months, let me say. I had to go back to school. I was angry. When I'm coming back, I don't have the phone, so I'm still angry. So it was not easy. But right now, I think I've got the understanding. When they tell me, Tulia, ngoja next week, ngoja, I will understand. And I do understand right now, because I got that training. I'm understanding. I'm getting the training, and I'm being molded in the right way.
From the audience, when you hear about desire, what comes to your mind? Good or bad? When you hear about the aspect desire, what comes to your mind first? Something positive, something negative? Positive, negative. For those who are for positive, when I hear about desire, positive aspect comes out. Okay. When I hear about negative, when I hear about desire, negative things comes out. Negative aspect comes. I don't know. Let's think about this very deeply. When we hear about the word desire, what comes to your mind first? Positive or negative? Positive? Okay. Positive. 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 The audience I have today is very Christian based. When you hear about desire, what comes to your mind first? Something positive? Yes, this is very true. Desire is positive. In another way, it can be negative, because there are some desires that we actually have, yet they only lead us to the wrong way. But desire is like an engine. It is a driving force. Because I desire to become a doctor, then I study hard, okay? Because I desire to drive a car, then I can work hard, okay? But at some point, this desire needs a control force. Like she said, not all desires can be met. I need a car today, yet I don't have that ability. And by the way, do you know why corruption is on the increase? Do you know why people are trying to amass more and more for themselves? The aspect is one. They don't have that ability, but they actually have to fill those desires. Therefore, they end up, finding dubious way to actually, fulfill those desires of which they have. So it is a concept whereby many people don't understand. But surely desire is a positive thing, but also a negative thing. But the most important aspect about desire is how do you control this desire? Okay? Yes, you want it. And as they were speaking, I also realized that within my young days, then I was also the same. There were some things I asked for from my parents. Up to date, I've never gotten them. Like, so many things that I desired. But not all these aspects whereby my parents were in a position to actually provide. But how do we control our desires? And especially now that desire, we've learned, is a very big factor when it comes to misunderstandings. Because when we were talking last time, many people say the greatest misunderstanding between parents and young adults or the youth is money. Okay? Money, she said, to buy a smartphone. Money to buy a good jacket. Money to, yours was to, at least for her, I know, if you want to make her happy, provide a smartphone, you want to make her happy. It was the luminous green jacket. And
for me, it's to go to some places.
yes, an outing. party after party. And then for all these aspects, it all determines on the aspect of money. But when it comes that our parents cannot be able to provide this money, how do we control it? And the author of one book called Navigating the Heart, Dr. Reverend Oksupak, actually says it's very important to learn self-control from a very young age. From a young age, even this is young, okay? Right now, we have that opportunity to learn about, controlling our desires. And as we control our desires, then what is it that we have to apply? I'll give you a very practical example. I have a brand new car, very brand new, right away from the company, okay? And do you want to ride with me? Yes. But one caution, the car has no brakes. Who still wants to ride with me? Brand new car, totally superb. It has even automatic kind of driving system, but no brakes. Do you still want to ride with me? No. The same with life. Yes, desires are good, but if these desires don't have a control system, if they don't have a braking system, then it becomes dangerous. Just like a car can cause an accident if it has no brakes, then it is actually causing a lot of misunderstandings. Most of the misunderstandings that we have is because we are driving cars that don't have brakes. We have desires, yet no control about these desires. That is why continuously, when our parents are actually looking at us, when the society is looking at the youth, they are kind of wondering, how will they end up to be like? On the other end, the youth are thinking, why are these people nagging us? Why are they always on our neck? But it is because we have to nurture the aspect of self-control. Desire without self-control is actually like a car without braking system. And with this, maybe personally, I know the panel has spoken about some of the experiences of which they've had. But there's one story of a son and a father. The father, in the very beginning, was a watchman. And as you know, the pay is not that good, okay? But the son would appreciate even the small shoe or there's sometimes you just tell your dad, I want a pair of shoes, and you don't care which kind of label it is, okay? So at this point, the son was like this. It doesn't matter the label. All I need is just a pair of shoes. So the dad would actually provide for the son. And the son would always be happy. Thank you, Dad. Much in fact, he would even tell the dad, Dad, my shoes are brand new, but your shoes are old. Yours are torn out. Why don't you also buy yourself a pair of shoes? And then the dad would say, okay, for me, my money is over for this month, so I'll budget it for next month. But luckily, the father happened to meet a former colleague in the army. And then he actually advised him to go for a certain job. And eventually, the father got a very good position in the company where he went to apply for a job. Do you know what happened to his salary? The father of the salary? The salary to the father, sorry. The salary did what? Increased. 3 times, 4 times more than the salary he would get as a watchman. Then now the son would actually see that the father has a lot of money. The wife, who would actually use firewood to cook, now graduates from using firewood to using the gas, okay?
Yes.
Yes, the cookers. Then graduates from heating the food in a sufuria to heating the food in a microwave. So everything actually advanced. Even where she used to do shopping, before she would go and buy Sukuma Wiki at the kibanda. But right now, even Sukuma Wiki, she goes to the supermarket. So everything actually upgraded. And then as everything upgraded, the desires of the son, the desires of the mother actually grew. more and more. Now, when the father actually bought a pair of shoes for the son would ask, Dad, I don't just need a shoe. I need a certain type of shoe. Then the father would ask, but son, I thought this shoe is good. But in fact, remember the first time, even if it was a worn-out shoe, he would wear. But this time, he doesn't just need any shoe. He needs a certain kind of a shoe. Then the mother too. And then the family bond at that particular moment could not stand. The father and the mother are at a point of divorce. The father and the son are at a point of even quarreling and fighting. Just for the reason that, yes, there was abundance, there was more money, but even when there was more money, there was no time to actually speak. There was no time to have a conversation. She said it very well. My dad is too busy. Busy doing what? Busy trying to provide for all your desires. True or false? True. But because they are so busy trying to provide for you, then there's no time to talk. There's no time for a conversation. There's no time actually for our hearts to meet and actually mingle together. So within the society, there's one thing of which is happening. Kenya right now, we are developing at a very high rate. It may not be the rate of which we actually really want, but I can tell you, Kenya is not the Kenya that we used to see 10 years ago. May it be political, may it be social, may it be economical, but actually Kenya is on a developing aspect, okay? Then as we develop economically, then the likelihood is that we will not have more conversations. For me, one day one person asked me, what is the greatest priority in your life? And then priority number one, I wrote to my parents. But there was a question that followed. How many times do you visit your parents? How many times do you call your parents? And especially within Nairobi, we have one concept whereby shags tunaendaga siku gani? December, sindio? Yes. Then this person actually asked me, if your parents are your greatest priority, how many times do you visit them? Then I was like, then we develop in terms of work, in terms of economic, but in terms of how the society is actually headed, there's a very big danger. If we don't realize that the more we develop economically, the more we are losing aspect of speaking, the more we are losing the aspect of having a conversation. And the more our desires grow, the more the gap between us and the people around us is actually growing. The more our desires grow, the more these problems are actually cropping up. And that is why I want to open up a forum for ourselves. We have the audience in studio, we have the audience out there who are watching GBS, and thank you so much for staying tuned to GBS. This is Talking, and we are opening up a forum. How do you think we ought to solve this problem? Because for sure there is a problem, whereby everybody wants to meet their desires, especially we've become so materialistic, whereby we tag success as having a big car, success as having a big job, success having a bungalow. Then how do we go about this aspect? Desires and self-control. How do we control desires? So if there's any question, I would love anyone with a question or a comment in terms of this before we come to the panel from the audience. Anybody with a question or a comment, and especially in regards to desires and self-control? Okay, as they think about a question, I come back to the panel. You have interacted with Mind Education. You have a foundation in aspect of this. But 5 years from now, how do you think the country will be, and especially for the youth?
Well, as for me, after 5 years, obviously the economy will have grown, everything will have changed, the way we dress, the trend will have changed, everything, the fashion, the desires will actually grow. But as time goes, we should actually learn how to limit our desires. The more you need something, just check out the situation and check if it's possible for you to get it. Well, actually, when you learn mind education, you learn on how to be patient. When you're patient, I don't think there's nothing. When you tell your parent, I need this, and the parent is like, I don't have it, you can wait. It's okay, mom, I'll wait. I don't think there'll be any conflict between the youth and their parents. And actually, the bond will grow. Your parent will even be like, one day I'll surprise you with something, just because you have learned to be patient and learn to understand the situation in your family. But when you are like, mom, I want this, and mom is like, I don't have money. Why don't you have money? Actually, you're not the one who works, and the parent is the one who knows the pocket itself and how the situation is. But when we learn to understand everything, there will be no conflict between us and our parents. The bond will grow, and we learn on we'll even learn to be open to our parents and talk more often. And actually, as time goes, we learn on how to love our parents the way they are, and learn to appreciate everything. Yeah.
Betty, I'm thinking about 5 years from now, the leaders that we are going to be having in regard to this aspect of corruption and desires. I don't know, what is your take?
For me, I think the outcome may be in two ways. If mindset should be embraced, I think our country will develop much better than the way it would develop normally. So what I think, like, there are these kind of parents that are coming up, our generation kind of parents. We are growing with the mindset that we want to give our kids everything they want. This is a good mindset for parents, but you have to understand, from the point you want to give everything, can you give everything? Then we have to understand everything is never going to be enough. The minute you start giving everything, just because you listen to us doesn't mean you have to understand us. Doesn't mean you have to agree. Doesn't mean you have to give. There is something more to life than the desires we have. The minute we learn that, the minute Kenya is going to grow much better. The minute that person realizes that I don't need that estate. People need it. Even if you live 101 years in this world, you're going to die at some day. You need to make that change. You can't hold on these material things for long. So the minute we learn that, so I think in 5 years to come, it can be better and it can be worse. So we need to improve on our mindset. You don't need that pretty dress. You don't need that good shoes if you don't have it. That if you start not giving us everything, even if you have it, then when you have it and you give us, it will be precious. But if I ask for a sweet today and you give it, if I ask for a cake and you give it after the sweet, I'm going to want more and more and more. So you have to stop. Even if you have that 10 bob, I want the sweet, not now. That's how we are going to give back to the society and bring a better Kenya for tomorrow. So unless we learn now, I don't think you're going to do better tomorrow.
But when people say that we are becoming mean parents, like parents who are not giving everything?
Okay, it's not a matter that you have to start now being mean and saying, you have to tell them, baby, you don't need that dress. You have to tell them, you have to have that communication. Communication is very important. You have to tell them, you don't need that jacket. I'm here, I'm alive and kicking. I didn't get that jacket, and I'm here. So you have to tell them, you don't need. You know, they have to understand the fact that sometimes the kids are becoming like they are the parents, and the parents are becoming the kids. You know, like your baby is telling you, I want that dress. And they're like, okay, baby, I'm giving you that dress. Who is the parent in that position? You have to know, I can buy that dress, but I will not. I will not. I'm your mother. I know what is best for you. You have to know what is best for you, what is the best thing for your child, and what is the best that you can give. You have to choose what is the best thing for your baby. You have to choose. I cannot give you everything. Because the people, they have lost the sense of life. You think if you don't have that car, you cannot live. No, you can. So you need to know there's something more to life than desires. They need to know there's something more, like talent, there's something more. So unless we learn that as a youth, unless we are taught that, then I don't see Kenya going anywhere.
Okay.
Yes.
5 years from now.
5 years from now, we'll have new desires, and we'll have grown, of course. We'll have kids, maybe, some of us, but I'm not included. We'll have kids. So we have to train them. Even our younger siblings, we have to train them. We have to tell them this is what is happening. We have to understand this is what is going on. It's not like nataka chipo, you run at the outside there, you buy them chipo. Nataka, you see, you have to tell them that kuna time ya kula chipo, kuna time ya kula ile, and you have to understand, si kila saa kuna ile pesa ya kula chipo. You have to get to understand, you have to get them understand at a younger age. You have to train them to have that understanding. That's what I can say. And also have conversation between the parents and the youth and the children. Because if you can't tell your kid, you are just keeping quiet. Dad nataka simu, you keep quiet. Mom nataka, you keep quiet. You see, I'll be like, are you people snobbing me? What's happening? What's going on? Why are you not responding to what I want? You see, when we have that conversation, we'll have some understanding. We have to get to know each other. We have that connection. So we'll understand why you're not getting me the thing right now, why you're not having to buy me this thing at this time. So we have also to have that conversation, that understanding. We have to get to train our children.
Okay. Thank you very much. You've heard it from our lovely panel in regards to one, conversation, and number two, the aspect whereby we have to train and from a very young age, tell the kids that actually you don't need it, and it's not a must, like this should be provided. One day I heard that if your child asks for 10, give 5, and then 5 withhold. I don't know how wise parents will actually take this, but when I withhold 5, how do you think? I'm a good parent or a bad parent?
Bad parent.
Bad parent?
Good.
Good parent. I don't know. Which one do you think? A child is asking for 10 and then you give 5, withhold 5. Good parent, bad parent? From your perspective? Bad parent. Yeah. This is where now misunderstanding comes in. But what do you think? Is this a good parent or a bad parent?
A good parent.
Good parent, bad parent. Still, I can hear, even within our own selves, it's not actually concluded. But the aspect is that if we live providing everything, then our children or the people actually that we are providing for everything, they develop an aspect whereby they think everything can be provided. So one day they will ask you for a gun. Will you provide? Yes? You understand, eh? So if they grow knowing that my parent can provide everything. And I want to say this as we come to the end of the show, that there's a very big difference between people who are brought up learning self-control and people who learn not having self-control. And we will pick it up from here next time. How is it that we can be able to differentiate between these two types of people? But one hint is that people who have the aspect of having self-control, they have a humble heart and they are thankful about everything, no matter how small it is. But people who don't have self-control, people who are very high-minded or high-hearted, as they say, is that they always complain about everything, no matter what it is that you've done to them. No matter how big and good it seems, for them, it doesn't just seem right. And that is why they end up complaining about everything. So thank you very much for keeping in touch with GBS. Remember, this is talking, whereby we have a conversation on the social problems that we have. But beyond that, also find solutions to those problems. So today's topic was actually misery, desire that is causing misery, and desire is a cause of many misunderstandings. And thank you so much, because I've picked, number one, we ought to have a conversation. Number two, just tell them outwardly. Not that everything you desire is going to be met, okay? And then the aspect of having patience or having a humble heart. Then through this, we can live within a society that is more happy, a society that actually includes and incorporates everyone. And that is why we say thank you very much. And until next time, let's meet at the same place discussing on aspect of self-control. So thank you very much. And from me, it's bye-bye. And also from you, bye-bye.